Hello everyone, this is Bobby, and I'd like to bring you once again another dashboard presentation. And today I'm going to be sharing with you a bit of an analysis of the Fortune 1000 company list from 2018. So this was made using IBM Cognos Analytics as per usual. This is 11.1 release 6. So let's get just right into this and let's jump into it. So I took the Fortune 1000 list from 2018, and there were two things I really wanted to figure out. I wanted to see who's actually generating the most profit in proportion to other factors, because the Fortune 1000 list is ranked based on total revenue. It's not profits, not anything else. It's just solely that. So I was interested in seeing, okay, what's true profits looking like with sector and individual companies. And I also wanted to determine who's making the most profit in proportion to the fewer employees they have. So who's generating the most profit in proportion to the amount of employees. So I decided to call that just company efficiency. That is my own term I just decided to create, and I used a calculation to determine that to help make this dashboard. So in the top left here, we've got what's called a Marimekko chart. It's using black, yellow, and green colors. I just like the colors, so I decided to use those. It's divided by revenue, profit, and assets. Now, if we just look at the wideness of these bars, you'll notice it differs between each sector, and that is because it's based on the profit margin. The wider it is, the better their profit margins that they produce from that 2018 year. So you can see here, if we just took what's the widest, it's actually the financial sector. You can see they're generating tons of assets, or should I say they have tons of assets because they are, the banks, and that sort of thing. Compared to the amount of revenue they generate, it's actually much less. Now let's take another bar, for example. We're looking at now the tech sector. A lot more revenue, bit better of a profits they produced, and a good bit of assets too. And we can see these specific figures there. Now let's go on to a pie chart. I just divided it by the profitability of each sector. So this is usually the average profit margin. The bigger it is, the better their average profit margins between companies of the sectors. So we can see here the top two or top three, for example, are financials, average 13.9. Average here, transportation, 12.7 average. Business services. So I find it interesting, the second widest here, or the most relevant bar here we have, is tech, but they're not in the top three in terms of profitability. So that's one instance of how that actually provides a precious insight as to, well, maybe they're not as profitable as we thought, just because we see, how much revenue they produce. I mean, after all, you can see Apple is actually number 4th. It ranks 4th from 2018 of all the companies. So you can see here, this is a map I threw in. Just a quick little visualization for a geographic location. We can see here Fortune 1000 total profits by state. The darker it is, or the more red it is the more profits these states are generating from Fortune 1000 companies based there. So you can see the top three are California, Texas, and New York. Now, I believe that also correlates with the population. Those are three of the most populated states in the country. But you can also see other states like Illinois has some relevance, Minnesota, Washington, Pennsylvania as well. So going down to these scatter plots, let's talk about these really quick. So this one's total employees to total profits. So employees on the x-axis and profits on the y. We can see where the average is. A lot of it's in there, but we can see, well, who's actually generating tons of profit. I believe Apple is one of these, and it is. Tons of profits, right? 48 billion, 351 million. Berkshire Hathaway here in the financial sector. The colors are differentiated between sector that they belong to. And you can see here, interesting, tons of employees on this company. It's Walmart. Yes, they employ over 2.3 million, or have 2.3 recorded employed in the year of 2018, which is a lot. But at the same time, when we look at their profits, they generate a ton of revenue, but they actually have quite small profits, which is another interesting insight to look into. Down here, this is more related to company efficiency I threw in. So you can see to the right is more employees on the x-axis, and on the y is total revenue. So you can see here a ton of revenue and a ton of employees from Walmart. If we went and zoomed in here a little bit, we could also see some other companies. So for example, Kroger, Amazon.com, and Berkshire Hathaway. So I'll zoom out that. Now here's a word cloud chart to represent company efficiency. So the bigger, the more relevant the texts are of these companies is the more efficient. So as I said before, this is a little calculation I use to create these visualizations. Company efficiency is a measure to measure the most profit being generated per employee. So we can see here, now this is in general. We can see A-Mark precious metals sticks out, 55.48. Now let's say we filter by a sector. Let's take the financial sector, for example, and filter by that. And in there, we would see the highest efficiency is Fannie Mae, INTL, Host Hotels and Resorts, and Annaly Capital Management. Something to play around with there. It also filters it here so you can automatically see what these companies are in the financial sector, all of them specifically. You can look at their revenue, profit, assets, and employees. So let's take off the filter. And down here are your key performance indicators. Your profit margin, revenue. Remember, this is in billions, so what you're looking at here, for example, is not 14 million, it's 14 trillion, 378 billion. Same with assets and profits. So to answer the questions, first, so to conclude, we have who are the most profitable sectors, financials, transportation, and business services. And then the highest efficiencies we have, so to go back to it, filter by financials, Host Hotels and Resorts, Annaly. And that's something to look into, right? So it's not just about revenue anymore with this list. We can also research true profitability, the profit margins, and company efficiency. So with that concludes it, and thank you for watching.